Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm looking to help you with your transfer decisions in game week 38. That's right, it's the final game week of the season. We're going to be looking at the best possible free hit team. Now I realise for some of you might be lucky enough to have a free hit still to play, so this would be great for you. Otherwise it's more like looking at transfers, so you might be making 1, 2, maybe even more transfers for a final flourish at the end of the season. So this will be for anyone who wants to make a move in game week 38, which will be all of you, I would imagine. Okay, just before we go on, just a reminder, do press that like button, it really helps us out, and do remember to subscribe as well wherever you're listening to this, and also do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well to keep up to date with our latest videos and our podcasts as well. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to have a little ramble about sort of general strategy in game week 38. We'll look at the fixtures, see what we're dealing with, and then I'll put up a mock-up free hit team I've done. So I've done this from my team, so I've gone from my team value, which is 107.2. And it's got 0.2 in the bank. So if you're around that level, this would be could be for you. But also I'll recommend any sort of cheaper players in that list as well. So that if you can't afford that, and if you've got more, well, great, you're fine. Okay, yeah, just before we look at the fixtures, I just want to talk about sort of what happens in game week 38. So you're going to be in one of three frame of minds, really. Firstly, you could be looking to preserve a lead, could be in your mini league, you could be number one, like Jonas, who I interviewed last week. Do have a look at that video. He's still, as I'm recording this, still in first place. You could be looking to preserve a lead. In that case, obviously, Captain Haaland, get all the top-owned players with good fixtures and form, and you're probably going to maintain that lead. Or you could be chasing, in which case you've got to get form differentials. You've got to get low-owned players that are in good form that your rivals perhaps will struggle to get in. Or the whole season's been an absolute horror show. You can't wait for the new season to start. In that case, just have a bit of fun. Get your favourite players in. If you support a particular team, get the main players from that team in. If you want to use a number of transfers, if you don't really care where your final rank is, if you're not where you are anyway, and there's no hope of getting anywhere, just have a bit of fun with the game. So what I'll do is I'll have a look at the fixtures, and then we'll go on to our free hits team that we've come up with. So let's have a look at these fixtures then, see what we're dealing with. So I mean, I've tweaked this. So I've looked at the season ticker at Fantasy Football Scout, sorted by difficulty, and then I've altered it to what I think are good fixtures. And I've given a heavy bias to home sides. I do like, yeah, obviously away sides could do well. There's a lot of goals on the final day, but I do like home game. It's their final home game of the season. They want to put on a show to their fans. You know, whether they're playing for something or it's a dead rubber fixture. I think the main players are more likely to start as well. You know, in the past, you know, your Harry Kanes, for example. You know, this time around, you know, the usual suspects. You think Haaland would play at home, his last home game, obviously. So I don't expect too many clean sheets either. So looking at this, I'm going to want defenders with goal threat. I'm also, yeah, teams with something to play for appeal. So we're sort of, I'm looking at a 3-5-2, a 3-4-3. So I'll just, for the benefit of those listening to the podcast version, I'll just go through this list of fixtures, how I think they are in terms of difficulty. So the best fixture, I think, is Man City at home to West Ham. As it stands at the moment, they are going to have to do well in this in order to either scrape through, or I'm recording this ahead of the final game of game week 37, so I don't know what position they're going to be in, but I do know they're going to have to win this game. They're going to have to do well in this game. It might be a draw, could be enough, but can you imagine? I can't see Man City going for a draw and trying to maintain. I just can't see that. That just doesn't sit well with me. I just think there's going to be a lot of goals. I think Haaland, Foden, Gvardiol, all of those regular scores, De Bruyne, I mean, I think they're going to do well. West Ham are not in good form at the moment. They're away, so it's the home side. Arsenal at home as well. Obviously, they've got to do well here. They've got to hope Man City slip up, as I'm recording this now, assuming they beat Spurs, but they might not. Either way, they've got to do well in this, and they're at home to Everton with nothing to play for. So it could be some more rotation there for Everton, and so Arsenal has that appeal. Liverpool home to Wolves, final game for Klopp. All the main suspects, Alexander-Arnold, Salah, are fit as I'm recording this ahead. I'm dangerously recording this ahead of the Monday night Liverpool game against Aston Villa in game week 37. So, but I think this is great. I think Salah, if you can get to him, is a great option and a great captaincy pick. I cannot see Salah not scoring in this game. I can see Haaland not scoring. I can see Palmer not scoring. I think they're both all of those players are going to score. But I just cannot see Salah not scoring in this game. Anyway, Chelsea at home to Bournemouth. They've got Europe to try and get into, as far as I know, as I'm recording now. It's a great home game against Bournemouth. I think they'll concede. I think they'll win. I think they'll need to score a lot of goals in this. I think the likes of Jackson, Palmer could be good. I'm a Brighton fan, so I'm massively biased, and I've put Brighton at home to Manchester United. I think in the last two games, Brighton have been really good. And Manchester United have been really poor, and they have a cup final. They could get into Europe. I mean, as I'm recording now, so they would have something to play for. But I think the FA Cup final is probably the main one there. And we're seeing the likes of Bruno Fernandes, who never gets injured, never misses a game through injury. Missed 2 in a row now. Might miss Newcastle. Recording this ahead of Newcastle, we don't know yet, but. Yeah, I like that, but that's my bias there. So you can manually move that fixture down if you don't think Brighton are going to beat Manchester United. But I think many of you probably would think Brighton might beat Manchester United in this. It's an away fixture next. Tottenham away to Sheffield United. Tottenham as well want to get into Europe. Depending on where they go in Europe. Sheffield United down and out, nothing to play for. I think it's a good away fixture. I personally, we're seeing my free hit team. I'm not overly gung ho with Tottenham, but I have other players I think I would prefer, but I do think they are good options, very good options. Luton at home to Fulham, nothing to play for. Luton, I think as far as it goes in the final day, Luton could be safe if they can somehow score. I think it's 6 to 7 goals, or get 6 to 7 goal advantage, and Nottingham Forest somehow get hammered by Burnley by 6 or 7 goals. I don't think that's going to happen, but they're at home against Fulham, final game. They're going to want to give their fans a good final Premier League game. I think that's a great fixture for Luton. I think there's some good differentials there. Alfie Doughty, one of my favourites. Crystal Palace at home to Aston Villa. Yes, it's Aston Villa. Aston Villa, as far as I know, it might be a dead rubber for them. They could have sealed top 4. They could be trying to cling on to that, or going into it as 5th. I don't know. So either way, there could be something to play for there for Villa. But I think Crystal Palace at home, Mateta, Elise, Eze, what a front three. Arguably one of the best front threes the Premier League has at the moment. Cheap as chips because they play Crystal Palace. So I think they're good options. Burnley at home to Nottingham Forest once again. Could be nothing to play for here for Nottingham Forest, I presume. But I think an interesting matchup there. Could be some goals there. Newcastle away to Brentford. I'm still not totally sold on Newcastle away, but Brentford, I think Brentford could win this. So I'm not sure. These are sort of the remaining fixtures here. Are sort of I'm not sure about these for these teams. Fulham away to Luton. I think prefer Luton for that one. Aston Villa, Chris Bass, Ollie Watkins, a good option, strong, but I just feel like Aston Villa sort of, what a season they've had. Great season. They've managed to keep largely injury-free. Well, I say largely injury-free. They've had a few notable ones, but nothing like, say, Newcastle, Brighton or Chelsea. Brentford at home to Newcastle, as I said, I actually quite like that. Brian Mbomo, I think, could be a good option here. And then, all the other teams against a lot of teams that I do favour here. So with the worst fixtures, Bournemouth, Manchester United, Everton, West Ham and Wolves. So that's the fixtures there. As you can see, heavy home bias. Not so keen on clean sheets. Don't think they're going to happen. And I do like those teams that with something to play for as well. And obviously those recent form players. Okay, let's have a look at the free hit team. So this is a free hit team if I was free hitting now. So I don't have a free hit, but I wish I did. Because I would love to have this team. I've got a lot of this team. maybe half. Yeah, I've got a lot of this team, but not all of this team, and not some notable key players here. So as I said, I like home advantage on the final day, nailed on players. Players on penalties, I like heavy involvement in their side's goals, especially recently. Don't expect too many clean sheets, so I want defenders with goal threat. Also, teams with something to play for. 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. I like. In my case, I like 3-5-2 if I could, because midfielders get more points, and a lot of these midfielders are really integral to their side's goals. Okay, I'll quickly read through this team, and then I'll go back and explain why they're in here. So I've got a 3-5-2, Petrovic in goal, White, Gabriel, Alexander-Arnold as the back three. Across the midfield, I've got Elise, Palmer, Foden, Salah, who's got the armband, Saka, up front, Jackson and Haaland. And on my bench, I've got Muric from Burnley, goalkeeper. I've got Muniz, 4.3. Fulham striker. Van der Ven, my hero so far. I got him in on game week 37, so he's got rewarded me with a goal. And I put Dan Burn there. We'll come to that, but that could be anyone. That's just because he happens to be in my side. I don't think we're going to end up going Dan Burn deep in this in game week 30. I think everyone else most are going to play. Okay, let's start back at the back then, and I'll explain some of these picks. So why is Petrovic there? I think he's going to concede, but I think pretty much all goalkeepers are going to concede outside of Raya, and I don't want to triple up on Arsenal with their goalkeeper. So he's cheap, but he's got a strong save rate. Every 26 minutes he's making a save. So you're going to look at getting save points there. That could be important where you are in the final rankings. So each point really counts here. I think he's going to rack up those saves, and it's a must-win game, I think, for Europe as well. So you never know; he could get a clean sheet as well. But they're so hard to predict. I'm just going for a keeper who'll get saves in a good team, and Chelsea are a good team at the moment. So the back, I've gone for Ben White and Gabriel. I've gone for an Arsenal double up. So what is one of the success stories of this season? The Arsenal double defence. I've gone for them as well for goal threat, as well as the clean sheet should Everton score. So that goal threat there. White is the top scoring defender in FPL. He's got 4 goals, 5 assists and 18 clean sheets. That's why he's there. Gabriel is pretty close. He just missed a couple at the start of the season, so not as many clean sheets. Gabriel has 28 shots in the box and 4 goals this season. Only Van Dijk has had more close range efforts among defenders, so that's why they're there. So if they concede, I might get some. Attacking threat there. With my budget, I found myself with enough to get Alexander-Arnold in. Why not? No one's going to have him in. None of your rivals are going to have him in. He's 8.4 currently in price. He'll be very difficult to squeeze in. If you've got a free hit, get him in. If you've got the money, get him in as well. I just think he's heavily involved in Liverpool goals. I think they're going to score. I think they could score a lot against Wolves. And I think he's got goal, assist, and possibly clean sheet potential as well. He's created 60 chances this season, amongst the best for defenders. He's notched 5 assists and scored 3 times. If you can get him in, brilliant. I mean, I can believe it. My luck when I got that. So if you can't afford Alexander-Arnold, which you probably won't, Robertson, I think, is a really good option as well. You save roughly 2 million there. So if your budget's not what mine is here, 107 or so, and your budget's much lower, then yeah, Robertson, I think it's a great option to get him. So across my midfield, I've got Elise. To be honest, Mateta as well, Eze as well, all good. Elise, home form in abundance with Elise recently. 6 goals, 3 assists across his last 4 home matches, all for 5.7 million, for those with a low budget. So if your budget's not strong and you want to get an intriguing differential, Elise at home is currently a bit of a cheat code, so do get him in if you can. Also, Palmer home against Bournemouth on penalties, chasing the golden boot incredibly for his price. He's still only 5.8. Selecting him is a no-brainer, I've written here. But I think the question with him is, do you captain him? And I think he is a good shout, But at 100% ownership around about where you are, it's good for those. I think if you think he's going to significantly outscore Haaland, who will be the most popular, barring injury or anything like that. I think Haaland will be the most popular. So it's basically you're taking on Haaland with Palmer. Will Palmer outscore him? So if you think that's going to happen, Palmer, great captaincy shout. A better captain, I think, for those chasing. So if you're trying to chase a mini league down or rank, could be Foden. 5 goals and an assist across his last 6 home starts. So I think he could be a captaincy shout for those chasing there. Also, I've got Salah. I think he's even better for those that are chasing, if you can get him. A low-owned Salah in Klopp's last game, that says goals to me. 4 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 home starts, so he's got the home form. Tough to get, though, if you're not free hitting. So he could be a great captain on the final day. So if you can get to him and captain him, if I was to get to him, it would involve a hit. It would probably involve 2 hits. So it's the kind of thing, if we hear of an injury to Haaland, I probably would take that move. I probably would go for that because my team, I'm probably going to captain Haaland. The Palmer's under consideration. Salah would be the one I'd really go for, just because, as I said, I just can't see him not scoring. Okay, so and the last one in my midfield 5 is Saka, another strong captaincy candidate. Remains to be seen regarding his injury. He was a doubt going into the Manchester United game and did limp off, but he often does. And then plays again. But he's got 3 goals in his last 6 home games. If you can't afford him, perhaps Havertz, 4 goals in his last 6 home games. He's only 7.5, so he's £1.5 million or so cheaper. Trossard, even cheaper as well if you haven't got the budget. 6.5, 2 goals over that time frame at home. Another good shout as well. Got on the score sheet against Manchester United in game week 37. I've got Bruno Fernandes in my current team, and I can get anyone up to about 10 million, but it's only really the Arsenal midfielders I'm interested in. So for me, probably it's going to come down to Saka or Havertz or Trossard. So that would be the same decision if I was free hitting now. Saka's there. If you haven't got the budget, just go Havertz or Trossard. But even if you have got the budget, as I have in my actual team, I still might go for Havertz. I just think he could be a more reliable goal scorer in this, but Saka's penalties. We'll have to see. We'll have to see on team news later in the week and the press conferences. Okay, up front, I've got Jackson. Much maligned at the start of the campaign, but he's now a mainstay in teams for good reason. 4 goals in his last 3 starts ahead of this week's Brighton match. So I'm recording this ahead of the Brighton match, game week 37. He's been... I got him in on my wild card, and he's been great ever since. So I'm a first time owner, so I think he's great. So I'm not scarred by having him earlier in the season. Haaland completes my 11. He will be the most captains. The question is, do you take him on? I think you can, but that is a risk. Man City are sharing the goals, but ahead of this week's Tottenham game, he has 7 goals in his last 5 starts. Obviously, that includes 4 against Wolves. It could be dangerous to bet against him. So where you put the armband, that's going to be the difference between your chasing, maintaining a lead, that type of thing. If you're maintaining a lead, Haaland captain, and I think it's probably the best fixture as well, home to West Ham. So on my bench, I've got Muric. So don't laugh. He's the Burnley keeper against Nottingham Forest at home. So it's the final home game. Once again, I'm favouring home fixtures. Oh, by the way, all of my 11 are at home. All of my 11. I'm just completely going at home, and there's no Spurs in my 11 because they're away. So I'm just going to bet against them. And also, if you want to get Son in, if you're desperate to get Son in, then look at that midfield there. And assess who you would go without. And I don't prefer Son to any of those midfield 5. And I think if I did get Son in, it would mean at least one of those would have to be dropped to a cheaper one on my bench. And someone like Salah would go. I prefer Salah. So if you can get Salah, Salah's better than Son, I think. If you can't get Salah, I think Son is your in there. But I wouldn't captain him, obviously. with Captain Haaland there. On my bench, Muric. No goalkeeper has a better minutes per save rate recently. A save every 12.6 minutes over his last 6 matches. That's absolutely huge. And it's because it's been reported on Fantasy Football Scout as well. And but people can see, you just look on how many points he's got recently. So he's, for a start, he's against the Nottingham Forest side with nothing to play for. So could get a clean sheet. You never know. But he's conceded 9 goals in his last 4 starts. That's huge. And over that time, he's managed to score 30 points. So, I mean, that's like, I know there's been a penalty save there, but this is sheer save points. He's racking up so many save points. He might as well be getting a clean sheet in FPL terms. So I think he's a great option. I'd be tempted to play him instead of Petrovic as well. If we get wind that Sanchez is back, which I don't think is going to happen, because he's still in partial training. I don't think for the final game of the season, crunch game, where they, Europe place on the, in the balance, they're going to suddenly put Sanchez in instead of Petrovic. I can't see that, but Muric, I don't know. I'd be tempted to play him instead. I think it's just the amount of save points he's getting is worth investing in. Also on my bench, Muniz. So I've gone for a cheap first sub, 4.3. I can't believe he's 4.3. So I like 352. So at 4.3, you get a great first sub in Muniz at Fulham. He's got 9 goals for the campaign so far. Faces a leaky Luton side with nothing but pride to play for. A great first sub. Van de Ven is there, goal-scoring hero already in Game Week 37 for me and many others. Cheap and could get another return if he's fielded at a left-back against Sheffield United. Is that something we're going to see next season, perhaps? A great first defender sub. Arguably, he could get in. Him or Porro should be in the squad. But do you replace double Arsenal defence? Do you replace Alexander-Arnold? No, I don't think so. And then the final place is Burn. That could be anyone. I've just done that because I couldn't be bothered to change and search for the best 4.5 third player on my bench. But you could have any defender you want, really, for around that price, or even less if you haven't got the budget. So he's 4.6. You could get a cheaper one. I just want a defender who might get a clean sheet. He might do. He may get a goal, but hopefully they won't be needed. So take your pick on that bit. So it's more really that first 11 and those sort of first defender sub and first sub, and that goalkeeper as well is still an issue for me. Okay, I've been talking quite a long time about this. I really wish I had a free hit left. I really like this free hit side. I think it's full of lots of shields to protect your rank, like Haaland and Palmer, but it's full of these sort of flair, low-owned players, and the chance to captain one as well. It's got Elise, Salah, Alexander-Arnold. These are players that I think are really good for Game Week 38, really exciting players to get in. It's a real mixture of that team. I mean, my team's sort of near this, not as good. So I'm going to hope for the best, like a lot of other people. I hope this has given you some good ideas for your transfers ahead of Game Week 38. Good luck with that. Good luck with wherever you want to finish this season. Have a great summer. There's plenty more videos and podcasts going on this week to help you prepare for Game Week 38, and there will be obviously during the summer as well. We've got lots and lots of coverage there. So stay tuned for all of those podcasts and videos. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care. See you soon.